Good day, everyone. For today's topic, we will be discussing the fourth pillar of our Philippine criminal justice system, which is the correction. So now, what does correction means? So according to my research and to what I have read, correction is the attitude and the response of the society to the criminal behavior of the offender, wherein it has served his purpose or it has served such purpose as punishment, deterrence, rehabilitation, and reintegration. It means that the correction is the one who's responsible for the custody, supervision, and rehabilitation of the convicted offenders. In addition, correction is considered as the weakest part of the criminal justice system, for they fail to reform offenders and prevent them from returning back to their criminal life. Further information, correction has two forms. First is the institutionalized correction, and the second one is the community-based correction. Under institutionalized correction, it is the rehabilitation of the offender in jail or in a prison. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga offenders is nailalagay sila sa jail or sa prison. Sa pangalawa naman, which is the community-based correction, inilalagay or it is the correctional activities wherein the offenders will be put in the community. Ibig sabihin is, yun nga, inilalagay yung mga offenders dun sa community for correctional activities. Hindi na nila kailangang ilagay pa sa jail or sa prison. Ibig sabihin is magtatrabaho lang sila or may mga gagawin lang silang programs, ganun, sa community. So, speaking of prison and jail, let's differentiate the two. Let's see their meaning and their functions. So, according to my research, prison is the facility for the national prisoners. And it is an institution for the imprisonment of persons convicted by final judgment and with a penalty of more than 3 years. It means that prison is the facility for the convicted person who made a serious crime, and with a penalty of more than 3 years. With a penalty of more than 3 years. That is prison. On the other hand, jail is a facility authorized to hold pretrial detainees and sentences for periods longer than 48 hours. Okay, so to make the comparison of the prison and the jail short, let us just remember that when we say jail, it can be described as the place for awaiting trials or held for minor crimes, whereas prison describes a place for convicted criminals of serious crime. Another comparison or another short comparison is that when we say jail, less than 3 years yung sentence, while the prison is more than 3 years. Now, we will be comparing the detention prisoner and the sentence prisoner. But before we dive into their difference, let's differentiate first what does detention and sentence means. Okay, so when we say detention, it is the process whereby the state or private citizen lawfully holds a person by removing their freedom or liberty at that time. So, ibig sabihin, dito sa detention is pansamantalang natatanggal muna yung freedom ng isang tao. Kasi nga, nakadetain siya. Hindi mo na siya pwedeng umalis kung saan niya gustong pumunta. On the other hand, when we say sentence, it is the punishment given to a person convicted of a crime. Ibig sabihin lang ng sentence, yung parang judgment ng judge. And now, what does detention prisoner means? So, according to my research, detention prisoner are those who were detained for the violation of law and have not yet convicted. So, ibig sabihin, dito sa detention prisoner is wala pa siyang final judgment. Under pa lang siya ng investigation or ng trial. Next is the sentence prisoners. So, sentence prisoners are those who are convicted by final judgment and under the jurisdiction of a penal institution. So, ito na yung mga tinatawag nating convict. Kasi, napatungan na sila ng final judgment and under na sila sa mga penal institution. Now, we will dive to the comparison of Bucor and the BJMP. So, according to my research, Bureau of Correction or Bucor in short is an agency under Department of Justice that is charged with custody and rehabilitation of national offenders, that is those sentenced to serve a term of imprisonment of more than 3 years. On the other hand, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology or BJMP is an agency under the watch of DILG, which handles the district, city, and municipal jails where person deprived of liberty is still facing trial or held. In short, Bucor is for national offenders and those who have committed serious crime and those who have a sentence of more than 3 years of imprisonment. Whereas BJMP is an agency for district, city, and municipal jails wherein the person is awaiting or undergoing trial. Dito rin under yung mga tao na meron lang mga minor crimes. Now, we will go to the 7 penal form under Bucor. So, Bucor has 7 operating units nationwide. Namely, first is the New Bilibid Prison in Muntinlupa City. Second is the Correctional Institution for Women in Mandaluyong City. It was established in 1931 by virtue of Act 3579 passed on November 27, 1929. Third is the Ihawig Prison and Penal Farm in Puerto Princesa City, Palawan. Founded by Governor Forbes, it was established on November 16, 1904. It is known as the prison without wall. Fourth is the Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm in Occidental Mindoro. Founded on September 27, 1954 by virtue of Proclamation Number 72, dated September 27, 1954. 5. San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City. Founded by Captain Ramon Blanco of the Spanish royal family. It was established for the confinement of Filipino political offender. It was established on August 21, 1869. Sixth one is the Leyte Regional Prison in Abayug, Leyte. Established on January 16, 1973 during the martial law with the aim of reorganizing prison in the country. So, the Leyte Regional Prison in Abayug is the youngest prison in our country. Lastly, the Davao Prison and Penal Farm in Panabo, Davao Province. Ngayon naman, alamin natin kung ano-ano yung mga classification of sentence prisoner. So, we have here 4 classifications, which is the municipal prisoners, city prisoners, provincial prisoners, and the insular or national prisoners. So, under sa municipal prisoners, yung sentence dito is not more than 6 months. Not more than 6 months. Pangalawa is the city prisoners. So, city prisoners is sentenced to less than 3 years or a fine less than 1,000 or both. So, ibig sabihin dito sa sentence, dito sa city prisoner is less than 3 years lang yung sintensya niya. And, pwede rin siyang magbayad lang ng less than 1,000 pesos or pwede rin both. Depende sa kung ano yung sasabihin ng judge. The third one is the provincial prisoners. So, under this, 6 months and 1 day to 3 years of or fine not more than 1,000 or both. So, ibig sabihin dito sa provincial prisoners, yung sentensya niya is 6 months and a day lang or hanggang 3 years. Ibig sabihin, 3 years pababa. Parang katulad lang din siya ng city prisoners. And, or fine not more than 1,000 or both. So, yun nga, parang katulad, yung provincial prisoner and city prisoners is parang magkatulad lang din sila ng sentence. Next is the insular or national prisoners. So, under this, sentenced to more than 3 years or a fine of more than 1,000 or both. So, under sa national prisoner, ito yung mga may serious crime na nagawa. And yung sentence nila is more than 3 years or magbabayad sila ng more than 1,000 pesos or both of yung sentence na yon. Now, we will be discussing the classification of prisoners according to degree of custody or dangerousness. So, we have here 3 classifications of prisoners according to degree of custody. The first one is the maximum security prisoners. The second is the medium security prisoners, and the last one is the minimum security prisoners. So let's discuss first the maximum security prisoners. So maximum security shall include highly dangerous or high security risk as determined by the classification board who required a high degree of control. So sino nga ba yung mga tao na under sa maximum security prisoners? So, ito yung mga taong under sa maximum security prisoners. First are those sentenced to death. Yung mga convicted person na yung sentensya nila is death. Next, those whose minimum sentence is 20 years imprisonment. So, ito yung mga convicted na may less than, yung minimum lang ng kanilang imprisonment, ibig sabihin yung pinakamababa is 20 years imprisonment. Ibig sabihin is 20 pataas pa yung kanilang sentensya ng pagkakulong. And next, recidivist, habitual delinquents, and escapes. Next is those under disciplinary punishment or safekeeping. Lastly, those who are criminally insane or with severe personality disorders or emotional disorders. Okay, next is the minimum security prisoners. So this shall include those who cannot be trusted in less secured areas and those whose conduct or behavior requires minimum supervision. So sino yung mga taong under dito? First is those whose minimum sentence is less than 20 years imprisonment. Less than 20 years imprisonment is under siya sa medium security. Next, those who are 18 years of age and below regardless of the case and sentence. Ibig sabihin yung mga minor na nakagawa ng mga crime is under siya sa medium security prisoners. Next is those who have 2 or more records of escapes. So the third one is the minimum security prisoners. So this shall include those who can be reasonably trusted to serve their sentences under less restricted conditions. So, sino yung mga taong under dito? So, Those who are 65 years of age and above ay under siya sa minimum security prisoners. So, ibig sabihin yung mga tao na nakagawa ng crime na nagkakaedad ng 65 and above, under siya sa minimum security prisoners. Next is those who have 6 months more to serve before the expiration of their sentence. So, ibig sabihin dito, yung mga taong may 6 months na lang na para i-serve nila yung sentence nila, sila ay under din sa minimum security prisoners. Okay, I just wanna share yung kulay ng uniforms ng mga inmates under sa classification of prisoners according to degree of custody. So, under sa maximum security, which is located at New Bilibid Prison Main Building, yung kulay ng uniform nila is orange or tangerine. And under naman sa medium security, which is located at Camp Sampaguita, yung kulay ng damit nila is color blue. Yung kulay ng damit ng mga inmates is color blue. And next is the minimum security, yung mga kulay ng damit ng mga under sa minimum security is color brown. Under naman sa mga detainees, yung kulay ng damit nila, yung uniform nila is kulay gray. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and God bless everyone. Bye-bye.